Welcome to section 4 of the week 5 module 5 of a project management professional training program. In this section we'll be discussing Create WBS. WBS stands for Work Breakdown Structure. In this section we'll delve into the process of creating a work breakdown structure. The WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work to be carried out by the project team, right? The project manager and his group of experts. It provides a structured representation of the project scope. By the end of this section, you should be able to understand the purpose of the Create Work Breakdown process, understand the purpose of the Create Work Breakdown Structure process, identify the inputs, tools and techniques and outputs of this process, and lastly comprehend the significance of a well-structured WBS in project management. Okay, so having gotten that, let's jump into the section proper. Now, what is the purpose of the Create Work Breakdown Structure? Firstly, the Create Work Breakdown Structure process aims to break down the project scope into smaller, more manageable components. This hierarchical structure simplifies project planning and control. You know, it is said that the easiest and most strategic way of eating an elephant is to do what? To break it up into bits. Break it down into bits. Alright? And there's another saying that yard by yard, life is hard. But inch by inch, anything is a kinch. Okay? So, in a nutshell, our project, the scope of our project might look gargantuan. Alright? Colossal. Huge at the outset if you are looking at it from the top, okay, and it may seem overwhelming and very complex and almost unattainable. So that's why it is very important to break it down into smaller, more manageable components, okay, and then you can now manage it component by component instead of trying to, you know, carry the whole project at once and at a given time. Alright, so this is simply what the Create Work Breakdown Structure is all about: breaking your huge project into smaller components so that it's easier for you and your team to now manage them. Okay, I hope that's quite clear. Alright, so what are the inputs in this Create Work Breakdown Structure process? Firstly, you have a project scope statement. The primary input. Now this is the primary input as it provides a detailed description of the project scope. So in order for you to break down the scope of the project, you need to have the overview, alright, the whole description, the whole body of the scope itself. Alright, so it's from there that you're going to do the decomposition. Requirements documentation is the next input. This contains information on project's requirements. Remember, the requirements are from who? Yeah, the stakeholders. Alright, requirements include the expectations, their needs, the constraints. These are the information that make up the requirements documentation. Okay, so next is the enterprise environmental factors, and these are external influences affecting the project. You need to be mindful of them. Baby. Organizational process assets. These are historical data, templates and guidelines for work breakdown structure development. Okay, so these all make up the inputs of our Create WBS process. Now let's take a look at the tools and techniques. Alright, what are the tools and techniques involved in this Create WBS process? Firstly, decomposition. This involves breaking the scope into smaller and more manageable elements. For example, you have a construction project, so you're going to have to break it down into phases. Alright, into phases. You could have the land preparation phase, you could have the foundation laying phase, you could have the block laying phase, and all different kinds of phases in between. So all these are what we call decomposition. You have a large work to do, you now break it down into different parts in different sections, and then take them bit by bit, one after the other. Next is expert judgment. This involves experts who assist in the work breakdown structure creation. Next is meetings, collaborative sessions with stakeholders for WBS development. And this is very crucial. As a project manager, you'll be involved in setting up and overseeing a lot of meetings. All these are to get clear with your stakeholders. Okay, so let's look at the outputs from this Create WBS process. Alright, what are outputs? Firstly, you have the scope baseline. The scope baseline. This comprises the project scope statement, work breakdown structure, and work breakdown structure dictionary. It is used as a basis for project planning and performance measurement. This is very crucial. Okay, at the end of this process, you have your your scope baseline. This is the foundation upon which every other thing you'll be doing in the project rests. And then you have the project document updates. This includes updating the various project documents based on the WBS development. Okay, so by the time you've developed your work breakdown structure, during the process you're going to have to update all the other project documents as is necessary. Alright, so what are the key takeaways from this section? The Create WBS process is a crucial part of project management, breaking down a project scope into manageable work packages. Now, the aim is about manageability. You're not just breaking down for the sake of breaking down. You're breaking down so that you can now begin to focus on smaller units within the project in order to manage them effectively. It aids in planning, execution, and control, and is presented as a graphical chart with a work breakdown structure dictionary. Okay, the process assigns responsibilities, clarifies accountability, and facilitates progress tracking. It also helps identify, control, account for costs, and schedule control. Okay, the iterative process ensures project work is well defined, measurable, and aligned with organizational processes. Alright, so these are the key takeaways you need to be mindful of from this section. Okay, hope you've gotten a lot of value. I'll see you in the next section. Cheers.